the grit. Look, I think we should encourage every beginner and garbage intermediate to surf a pointy shortboard thruster. They should. It will teach them how difficult this sport is. They'll be able to turn. We should sell them on getting barreled. Obviously not true. I just don't want more people on boards to catch waves that I should be catching because I'm a middle-aged, weekend warrior. I work a desk. So I think they should all be on sub-6-foot boards so that I get more waves. Let's spread the word. Do the good deed. It's what Jesus wanted.
What do you think? Selling beginners on shortboards.
Amen, brother, is what I have to say. Like the glut. And I deserved it. I'm just going to be honest. The other day, I posted on Beach Grit about how I hate all the accoutrements of surfing now, right? I hate the changing towel. I hate the mat. What pushed me over the edge was the boxes that people now bring to put their boards on. Have you seen this?
No, is it like the sawhorse thing?
Exactly. And so they set it up like they'll either do the mini sawhorses or they have like these plastic boxes. Or I even saw one a couple days ago that was a legitimate stand. Somebody brought his surfboard stand to the beach, to the parking lot, I suppose, to have his surfboard not touching the ground. And that pushed me over the edge. Rage filled my heart, right? And so I wrote about it. And somebody commented on Beach Grit, you should stop surfing beginner spots. And I hung my head in shame and realized.
You mean they're not doing that at Pipeline?
Yeah. But all to say, with this, yes, I totally agree that all beginners should be on pointy thrusters, or that it should be that should be part of the journey, the surfing journey, because it's just too easy for them to go out and kook around on their wave storm, but then one finger pointing out, three fingers or four, three. I guess your thumb's not pointing back at you. Three fingers pointing back. Yeah, thumbs. 3 fingers pointing back at me. Stop surfing beginner spots. And so, as much as I agree with Deer Collar, and I think we should do it, we should. There should be a force like, hey, the ride everything movement is over. The new movement is pointy thruster. Pass the word. I totally agree with that. I also know that I surf a beginner spot, and so I get what I get.
So, is it possible now, looking back, that Kelly had this exact idea in mind when he influenced us as children to ride pointy thrusters, hoping we would get disheartened and leave because it was so difficult?
Probably. It's exactly something the sinister mind of Kelly Slater would conjure up. I mean, that, look, I'm going to cause a basic, not a mass quitting event, but I'm going to cause at least one generation, possibly two generations of surfers to be barely competent and therefore not really get in my way. They're not going to be out at dredging Kandui. They're not going to be out at, Pipeline. They're not going to, they'll be so deflated that they'll do what, and I love every time we can bring up Ron from Board Porn here, they'll do what Ron from Board Porn does, which is, did you see his post today?
No.
It was something about how many, many years ago, I started surfing. I got a tiny bit better. The end. Which is, that's what Kelly did. I suppose, just think if we would have done what, what's his name? Rick Kane from North Shore. If Kelly had been more like Chandler and less like an asshole, we would have gone for the pointy thruster underneath the house, right? We would have been like, yeah, in the surf shop. And Kelly Slater Chandler would have been there to slap the hand and say, no, we start on the big board. And then work us through the various proper evolution of how you actually improve surfing instead of going from boogie boarding to potato chip thruster.
When I see any number of celebrities getting into surfing or going on a surf, coaching lesson in Costa Rica, whatever, any celebrity, any just newbie, doesn't have to be a celebrity, whatever, they are riding a big soft foam board going straight successfully on their very first time out. And I'm like, that took me literally 3 years to get to that point. When I was 12 years old, I started. Of course, it was on a pointy thruster. That's the difference. And by the time I was 15, I was finally able to like paddle into a wave, stand up, and go straight, you know?
I too started on it wasn't super pointy thruster. It was more of an 80s thicker thruster, which I think those people, I'm older than you. I think the 80s folk, before Kelly's disease really took hold, because those things were not great boards, I don't think, were they? Were those 80s thick things? Hold on one second.
Those weren't. I actually have a very soft spot in my heart for that style of board, the 80s thick, wide boards that are short still. And usually thrusters. So I like them a lot, but they have their limitations, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I learned. And I felt like I had enough foam under me that I could go straight in the whitewash.
Yeah.
But it probably literally took me 2 years to go down the line, right? To not just go straight. And you see those Costa Rica surf school people, yeah, they're going straight, but they're actually kind of riding the wave too, right? I mean, they're not just in the whitewash.
I mean, if it reforms, then they're riding the open face. Or if you've got Raymana pushing you in, you're getting barreled.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we will talk about. I want to hype that real quick. If you want more gritty version of this, we got the call last week about us going soft. The show used to be mean. And I got more on that too. But if you want the mean version, come over to Extra Fine Grit. It's on Patreon. It's a bonus show. It's weekly. Just to tease it, today we found surfing in the Epstein files. If you want to discuss Epstein files over there, we got why Jonathan Wayne Freeman is actually good for business. We've got Prince Harry at Surf Ranch. We've got the sneakiest deadhead of all time to go along lines with Chaz's journey.
This is This is going to be a hot bonus ep today.
It's got
must listen.
Well, look, we've got a huge episode here on the grit, and so much so that there was overflow. And I was like, I'm just going to carve out the stuff that will get us into hot water, put it over on Patreon. Nobody can complain. I mean, they can complain over there, but they generally are cut from the same cloth. They like the salacious.
Come, brothers and sisters.
By the way, would have started with this if I didn't have the opening call. You and I do no pre-show banter. We turn on the mics, push record, and go. You ever turn on that mic, look at yourself, and go, wow, I look haggard?
Every single time. Every single time. I think it's funny, I suppose, or not funny at all. Like, the more you hear yourself talk, right, your voice, we've talked about this before, your voice stops sounding like some foreign thing, and that's just how I sound. I know how I sound now. I sound how I sound. I'm still not getting used to how I look, and so when I flip open the computer lid and see myself staring back on Riverside, I'm like, something went well off the rails at some point, and I don't know exactly where or how to fix.
Well, I'll speak for myself, not for you, but I'm like, it got worse than last week. I felt this way last week, and somehow this week I feel worse about myself. I also have a very diluted sense of, I don't know what I look like when I'm not staring at myself, because throughout the course of the week, I build up my ego again. I'm like, okay, I did some push-ups today. I went surfing. I'm feeling good. I ate right. Like, I'm feeling healthy. And then the day recording comes around, I flip open the camera, look at myself, and I go, what the hell? No. Back to square one? Actually, not even square one. Went -1 somehow in that amount of time that I thought I was doing good work.
Yeah, it's troublesome. It is truly troublesome. But I suppose, and for those who ever go to the YouTubes, you and I guess, aren't very vain, because every one of these haggard videos gets posted both for Noble Rot now and also the Grit. Just... we look bad, and it's not like we're just looking at each other and thinking, let's spare the people. Let's spare the people the visual. Nope. Here you are, people. Here's how we look.
I could have started combing my hair 5 years ago if I really cared. Or at least showering. I showered today before the show, but I often don't. The other thing
I had a surf day before, and guess who I saw down there?
Ah, man. Mike from Weekend Vans.
No. Though I did surf with Mike from Weekend Vans a couple weeks ago. But no, I was walking up, squinty, California sun in my eyes, It was the barefoot caller, the dude who told us to go barefoot or barreled or not,
Yeah.
walking barefoot.
James in San Diego.
It wasn't James in San Diego, though.
Oh.
Maybe it was the guy who excoriated us for not, calling us sissies for not. He was a caller.
We got that backwards. James in San Diego excoriated us.
Yes.
So the original caller is the one you're
The
talking
original caller. The original caller. And there I was, walking barefoot. I was real proud of myself.
Good. And did you recognize him, or he had to identify himself?
He identified himself and then said, like, yeah, see you're barefoot. And I've been proud of my barefootness these days in terms of James from San Diego really did he cut deep. He cut right to the core. And so I've been trying to go barefoot more.
Good.
Especially now that I'm a deadhead.
I think it's good advice, right? We have a huge show. We need to get into it. Often we go 20 minutes on a given topic. We're going to have to go like 3 minutes per topic today because we got a lot of stuff. Wait, but first, I do want to discuss your article that you referenced about the accoutrement of surfing, and you used rinse kit specifically to call out as being annoyed by. I feel two ways about it. My general thought agrees with you. There's way too much of this, but I love some creature comforts. And I got a changing mat, I don't know, a long time ago, maybe 10 years ago. So I've had one the whole time, but I always use it because otherwise I'm pulling my wetsuit off, stepping on it in an oily parking spot. So it's just practical. That changing robe, I did not embrace for a long time. And then I got one. Slow Tide gifted me one. I started using it and I'm like, I want to lounge on the sofa on this thing. So I haven't gone as far as to get a rinse kit yet. Because again, just philosophically, I don't want my entire car to be filled with stuff, like that. But I kind of like some of it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. That's the problem. That's why it's a slippery slope. It's not slippery because, you get the one thing and then you hate it and you stop on that. You get the one thing and you realize, oh, now this. And then all of a sudden, I had a friend in college and like he would always say, hey, okay, we're going to go snowboarding this weekend or we're going to do something. He had a car. He had a Pathfinder. It's cool. And so I thought, okay, great. We would inevitably, no matter what we were doing, before we would go, we would drive around for like 3 hours getting stuff, right? Like, oh, I got this new binding thing. I got to go, and sometimes we wouldn't go. We would literally drive around the entire day getting stuff. And I think I hate that so much that I am not willing to turn surfing into that of, oh, I can't go surfing unless I have all my stuff, or I got to go get all my stuff to go surfing. No. Yeah. Bored. I'm mad at myself for having a wetsuit at this point.
I mean, I totally agree with you. None of that stuff actually adds to the surf experience, and the best surf experiences are just trunks and a surfboard. No leash.
Absolutely. Trunks, surfboard, no leash.
I think if you look at it under that lens, you should just always keep that as the filter you're running everything through.
Yeah.
So then it's like, I feel,
but I understand that once you go down, that the changing poncho is superior, right? That the changing mat does solve for dirty wetsuit. All of these things, it's not that they don't work. It's that I don't want them in my life.
I think you start with the filter that I just said, and then there's reasonable explanations or justifications, I should say, for each additional layer. So if the water is 60 degrees, all right, I'm going to need a wetsuit. And obviously 60 is actually low. If it gets down to 68, okay, now I need a wetsuit. You could justify the wetsuit. But I don't think there's any justification for the sawhorses. There is no linear way of thinking that brings you to, my surfboard cannot be placed on the ground or in the back of my car to rest while I am getting changed. The sawhorses now are strictly for show and tell.
I honestly, it makes me want to drive over them when I see them. Like, that's how enraged I am at this point of the sawhorse thing. Because you never see a pointy thruster on a sawhorse either, right? Which you never see a board that's like has thin glassing. It's always these big old fancy longboards, which are glassed like an inch thick, right? Like these things, you could probably throw it on the ground and it would be okay. And so it is showing. It's so show-offy. Oh, it really, really, really drives me crazy. I hate it.
I'll make one. Well, also, let's talk rinse kit real quick. There's another kind of parallel criteria maybe that we could run is what's the cost of the thing?
Yeah.
Because a rinse kit is not cheap. And in the back of my car, I have an old gallon water jug, that I've had the same one for 5 years, that I just pour hot water into before I leave the house, basically.
Uh-oh.
And it's free.
That was sweet. Did you hear that?
What? No.
Oh, just like it did a full-on David Lee Scales remix. It was in the house, in the house, in the house, in the house. Got on loop and then it popped back.
It was only on your side, I think. They usually clean that stuff up for the
dang
people.
it. Well, you missed out, listener, if you don't hear it.
Well, so the rinse kit costs money, and the gallon jug of water is free. So that's another thing I'm running in my head is like, I like the convenience of warm water after I get out to rinse or rinse my booties off or whatever, but what will it cost me? $0 or $100, you know?
Why do you rinse? Do you rinse because you don't like sandy feetsies? Do you rinse to keep your car clean? Why do people rinse?
2 reasons. I don't like the sand coming with me when I leave the beach, and also I try to keep my wetsuit flushed. I try to keep the salt water out of my wetsuit as quick as possible. Or booties. Booties will stink up the car really, really quick.
Yeah, booties stink. I'm happy, I suppose, that I don't use booties or don't need booties. That's another thing that really frustrates me. Yeah, just the gadgetification. Like once it turns winter, everybody here starts putting booties on. I'm like, the water, it's February 6th today, and the water is, honest to goodness, I don't know, mid-60s. It's so warm-ish that I feel like you couldn't be really trunking it comfortably, but definitely no ice cream headache or tingle. You step right in the water and you feel right as rain. I'm like, what the hell are you people wearing booties for? Like, why?
I'll tell you why. I got to the point where I looked forward to booty season because I like the feel and the grip.
On your board. You don't like barefoot surfing.
It's more grippy.
Are you going to wear reef booties then moving forward? Are you going to say, look, I like it better. It just is what it is. I don't care how I look. I clearly don't care how I look on Riverside. I mean, on video. I'm not going to care how I look in the water either.
I've never gone that far.
Okay. You just look forward to it.
Yeah, I just look forward to the season where I can wear them because I like the grip. The one accoutrement that I do love that I guarantee you've never used is the pickle wax remover. You ever use the pickle?
No. How does that work?
So it's literally a stocking, like a leg stocking stuffed with foam, like polyurethane foam. I don't know if it's actually foam, but you can make your own version of this by getting a stocking from CVS or whatever.
Like a stocking as in a pantyhose?
Yes, pantyhose. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I meant, pantyhose. And then filling it with polyurethane foam dust from your local surfboard shaper. They throw that stuff away. Go grab it, take a bunch of it home, and then use it in pantyhose to make one of these. But basically, once you scrape the wax off your board with a credit card or whatever, there's always a little film of wax that's still on the board. And then there's also in the little divots or heel dents or whatever, there's wax that the credit card couldn't kind of get out. You just rub this on top of it. And the friction, like because the pantyhose is so fine, it lets out a little bit of foam dust as you're rubbing it. And it rubs onto the wax. And the friction when rubbing peels the wax off.
Wow.
Yeah. Like if you got Play-Doh stuck on your table, you'd run your hand over it and the little rubbing friction would roll it into like a ball basically and release it. That's what this does.
Why do you need your board that free from wax? What are we looking at here? Are we looking at wall hangers? Are we looking at...
It's mostly aesthetic for the new wax job because it's dirty, you know? So it'll be like brown wax that's on there. You scrape all that off. When you want to give yourself a fresh wax job, basically, you want like a clean surface to start with, not because it's I mean, I guess you're right, like the adherence of the previous wax job might help you get started for the next wax job, but it's mainly for looks. Like it's the dirtiness of it.
how often do you fully strip and freshly wax?
Not that often. The thing is, like, I have so many surfboards, I don't ride any one of them, like, exclusively. So if I was riding one exclusively, I would probably strip and wax every 3 months or something like that.
I only do it when traveling. That's the only time that I will ever strip and re.
I hate doing it. Like, the funny thing is, maybe we've talked about this before. When I was a kid, there was nothing I loved more. If you got a fresh board and you were going to wax it, it was like the highlight. Other than going surfing the next day, waxing your board the night before was the highlight. It is my least favorite thing in the world to do. I had to wax a board the other day. My arm was exhausted. My hand was cramping. I was like, I don't have the muscle for this anymore. I hate it. I want a wax roadie that comes with me.
Oh man, that would be the ultimate. I would start liking that, I suppose. If people started bringing to the beach various roadies, like treating it like they were a rock show, like, somebody brings the board out of the car. You. Yeah, I'm down with that.
That would be hilarious. The other thing is, because I hate waxing so much, I've gone to on a warm water surf trip, and then you get there and the waves are good, and you're like, I just got to get out right away. F it. I'm just going to use my cold water wax. Like, I'm not going to wax my board. I'm just leaving what's on there now and going to go surf. And it's super slippery and it does not work. So I would advise always wax before you get on the plane. Wax with the warm water before you get on the plane.
That's a good call. The thought, I mean, I don't know that I was ever dubious. I knew that cold water and warm water waxes were different and actually were, but it was one of those things like, but how, come on. It's wax, right? Like, trying to surf cold water wax in warm water is very unchill.
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't work. Okay, finally, getting into the show. The Pipe Challenger series ended yesterday. Did you watch any of the event?
I thought it still had a day left.
I mean, maybe for the women's or something, but the men ended.
Yeah. Who won? Oh,
Calum Robson.
Okay. I did. I knew that this show was coming, and I thought, you know what? David Lee's going to ask me if I watched, so I better watch some. So I watched some.
Did you watch yesterday?
Yes.
The waves are pumping. I felt like, even the days prior, I feel like there was a growth spurt, an exponential growth spurt across the entire field. Like, there was incredible performances across the board. Guys like Eli Hanneman that we expect greatness from at Pipeline, Baron Mamiya we expect greatness from at Pipeline, they looked average in the field. They were still getting nines and surfing incredibly, but they looked average in the field because the John Stens of the world, George Patar got an unbelievable wave that should have been a 10. Morgan Siblick got multiple 9-point rides. Xavier Huxtable, like names that you do not expect or certainly don't have experience at Pipeline. I felt like we're leveling up to the level of star performers before, and there was 20 of them.
The having a layoff from watching competitive professional surfing. Did you yesterday, because it was good, it got horrible. I started watching it when it turned well off. But I didn't start then. I got some good too. But was your initial feeling, I missed this? I am too critical sometimes, and I really do like watching competitive professional surfing. Or was your first feeling, why the hell did I ever watch this?
Neither. I knew exactly. I look forward to winter every time, and I look forward to seeing what's happening on the North Shore all the time. And when it returns, I'm like reminded why it is, the pinnacle of our sport, Pipeline specifically, and why the entire surf world goes to the North Shore in the wintertime. And I love it. It's like, it's what I think of when I think of wintertime, right alongside Christmas and New Year's, like Pipe and these events are it.
I need to go on a journey to find the love again of competitive professional surfing. I watched yesterday, again, knew we were coming on, knew we were going to talk about it, watched some pumping waves, watched some epic performances, and thought, this is horrible. This is stupid. This is a dumb waste of everyone's time, which feels extra rude and unnecessary. And I suppose I thought, I enjoy watching surf movies now. I suppose. I mean, not I suppose. I do. I enjoy watching surf movies. And I was thinking, I'd way rather watch a surf movie than this arbitrary piece of crap, even though there was good performances. So I don't know what my problem is. I need to go to therapy.
You need a side project. I'm editing a podcast over here and I got the screen over there, and that screen cannot be a surf movie because the surf movie needs my full attention. The surf contest is the perfect side screen project. And also you can have the volume down. You don't need to listen. You just see a wave coming and you glance over. But what's great about it is there's not 500 people in the lineup. So there's 4 surfers, so you know they're not going to get in each other's way. There's a little bit of order to it. So when a wave comes, somebody is in a good position and they can surf to their ability level. So I like it better than, running the pipeline camera from Surfline, let's say, when there's a massive swell or something like that. And I do like it better than a surf movie for the side screen idea of it. But to my point, the entire field was surfing as good as the best surfers in previous years. So I think this is a flashpoint moment where there is kind of this exponential growth spurt for the men's side.
Do you think that is going to translate throughout the upcoming world tour, or is this a pipeline specific spike?
Great question. Don't know the answer. I think it could be specific to pipeline because a lot of these guys are underground chargers. I mean, I guess that runs in contrast to what I was just saying because Xavier Huxtable, as far as I know, hasn't spent much time at Pipeline. Morgan Siblick has very little time out there. There were the guys like Joey Johnston and the Pipeline kind of crew, the North Shore crew, that were also leveling up or, surfing to their ability level just without the crowd. So we were able to see the best of it. But the problem or the reason why it might not translate to the CT level is because the CT doesn't run in this quality of waves.
I heard Griff in the booth, I think.
I lost your mic. Hold on.
Griffin Colapinto in the booth, I think it was Griffin, just talking about how now everyone sends it, that none of them hold back anymore, right? Which I think is rare. Or he had noticed that, particularly of this year, that everybody was just throwing it and throwing it successfully, right? Like not just out there, out of element, out of, and just brave, but no skill, like able to put themselves in places and execute at a wild degree.
Well, that's exactly what I was talking about. I didn't even hear him say that, but that's exactly what I noticed. And it was distinctly different than any other year.
If it does, say the tour gets good waves more or less all year, and if there is this giant growth spurt, is the reason for it homeschooling and weirdo, hyper competitive surf parents getting their, elementary school kids surf coaches and all of this kind of stuff? I mean, is that the result of that? The homeschool generation?
So funnily enough, I think no. I think it's those kids who do that and those parents who do that for their kids actually don't execute the level that we saw from Joey Johnston yesterday.
Do you think Joey Johnson is going to public school or went to public school?
Yeah, I think he went to public schools. And I think Xavier Huxtable, too, probably did as well. Like, I think those guys, the reason they were able to perform to the level they did is because they earned it on their own merits and had to strive for it and didn't have free access in the lineup at Pipeline. They weren't pushed into waves by their coach.
But then why are they that much markedly better than the previous generation who also didn't have coaches and all that?
So that question I don't know because a lot of I can't point to one thing that's been different in the last 12 months than the previous 8 years. Like that things that you're talking about, that's been in existence for over 10 years now. Access to witnessing your peers do it on the internet has been around for years now, but there is something. And I think, we've talked about what is the flop called in the high jump?
Fosbury flop.
The Fosbury flop or the 5-minute mile or whatever, these breakthroughs that happen where one individual athlete breaks the barrier and then all of the sudden the rest of the field can do it, because there was a psychological perceived glass ceiling, and you just need one person to break through, and then the light bulb goes off for everybody else. It's almost as if that's what happened at Pipeline in this event.
How much do you think board design, like advancements in shaping, where these guys can paddle, because it feels like they were dropping critically all over the place, right? Where you got to trust your board, or our board's better today for that. Like, is that part of the Fosbury flop?
Not exponentially. I'm sure there's tiny gains made every year, but there wasn't some big unlock in this year.
That's true.
So I don't know what to attribute it to, but exactly what we saw. So there was an era where, guys are sitting on bigger boards, sitting further out, getting in early. And then that shifted with John John taking off under, maybe John John wasn't the first, but John John certainly perfected it. Taking off under the ledge on a shorter board, riding 6.2s, that sort of thing. And we saw Baron Mamiya follow that. We see Eli Hanneman following that. And so John John could have been the Fosbury. And then there were a couple more. And I don't know what the big breakthrough was between 1, 2, and 3, and then jumping from 3 to 30. Because there was that many people doing it in this event. And they weren't doing it last year. There's still a lot of people cowering last year.
Not to bring up a sore subject here or drag a dead horse back into the studio, but imagine Felipe Toledo out there, because back when Felipe was chickening out at Pipe, or anywhere, but when he was chickening out at Pipe, there was other people who weren't being as chicken as him, but there was like a spectrum of chickenness going on, right?
Yes.
Like he was extreme chicken. Now imagine extreme chicken out there when nobody's a chicken, when everyone is sending it.
Yeah, he's going to have to reckon with that.
Yeah, because that will be Pipeline finisher, and that will be that. This is not an aberration. It's not like we saw weird epic performances on a weird day at Pipe that was good for epic performances.
It was a very good day at Pipe and Backdoor, and very challenging and gnarly. Doubled up waves.
Did you watch till the end, or through the end when it really got wind chewed?
No, I watched until about the quarterfinals, and then I checked in with it afterwards.
Okay, yeah, it got ugly out there.
Well, like I said, we got to rush through segments. This email came through about naming your kid. It said, driving on the endless winding roads in the scenic backcountry above the inland from Raglan. My son and I were having a conversation as winding as the asphalt. We came around to discussing pro surfers' babies' names, and it occurred to me that John John naming his boy child Darwin has delivered the serendipitous poke in the eye to not one, not two, but 3 high-profile members of the surf community. The first is a shaper extraordinaire, pastor, Bible enthusiast, and almost certain creationalist, Britt Merrick. For Britt, Charles Darwin must surely be Beelzebub himself. So effectively has his work been in leading us sinners away from the 7-day divine creation myth. The second is recreational flat earther, anti-vaxxer, carbon footprint aficionado, and all-around science skeptic Kelly Slater. Darwin and Darwinism not only challenge his anti-science doctrine, but clearly dispels his dearly held turtles all the way down belief system. I think that deserves a drop. Let me see.
I like turtles.
And third is Jack Robinson for cultural appropriation. I would like to congratulate John John and Miss John on choosing not only a solid Victorian name for their firstborn child, but also having a sense of humor and spite. Discuss.
It is a spite name, isn't it? John John spite named his son.
I like it a lot. I like the email take a lot. I have an additional take I would like to add to it, and that is that Kelly put off having a kid, or even, he's been with Kalani for over a decade. Presumably she would want to have kids considering her age and all that kind of stuff. He put off having the kid for a very long time. Until his biggest competitors started having kids. So this was strictly a competition to Kelly. Maybe not strictly, and I don't even know if it was if he was self-aware. I'm gonna guess this was a subliminal motivation that he wants the name Slater on the back of a jersey in 20 years against Florence and Robinson, beating them.
Here we go though too, and I'm going to doff my cap over to John John Florence once more here, because so Kelly got in the baby game, right? We got Jack Robinson. Who else? I mean, we can go. It seems like every one of those, or many of that crop, Chloe Andino, all of them have kids now. John John doesn't seem ultra competitive from the outside. That's part of John John's both, public appeal, I think, why people like him, because he's not all grindy about the competition stuff, and he wears it very lightly. Naming your kid Darwin, survival of the fittest, is like a real poke at everyone else's babies. Like, hey, we'll just see how this works out. Survival of the fittest. That is confidence par excellence.
Totally agree. It is very, very interesting. And Kelly going with Dow, also interesting.
Weird.
Haven't figured out the strategy there yet, or what it actually, what his intention was. But there's something. There's forethought in that.
I mean, Kelly clearly, talks metaphysical adjacent with his ayahuasca trips and his, whatever. But he is never, I've never ever heard or seen him do Eastern mysticism or, any kind of Confucianism, Taoism, any of it, right? Like no Eastern religion. He doesn't smack of Eastern religion, bro. And so to name your kid Tao is like, it's just weird. I mean, that's the thing too, is I think Kelly, we look and we wonder, what is the reason behind it? What is the why? Where is the why here? I think Kelly Slater is also just plain weird. He's a weird dude.
Yeah. People contain multitudes. There's no pinning them down.
That's true.
You never know. Speaking of Raglan, last week we got that call explaining the various breaks in the town of Raglan along that point. Somebody emailed immediately thereafter and is like, dude, your caller giving you intel got it entirely wrong.
Oh, epic. I was hoping.
Yeah. The point out the back is Manu Bay, not indicators. And so I'm like, well, now what do I do? Like, I don't know what's what, you know? I mean, I guess I could reach out to Luke Cedarman, but I did Google Earth and Google Earth and like a little bit of internet, scavenging, and found, I think the second person is right. I think the out the back wave that we usually see being surfed is Manu Bay.
The out the back wave okay, so that's where they normally surf, Manu Bay.
That's where they normally surf, and that is where they would be running the contest because they're running it at Manu Bay. And the call that we got last week displaying out back as indicators and inside as Manu Bay would be incorrect. But now that I'm thinking about it a third time around, indicators would be out back.
The indicator is typically the one out the back. I like it. I would hope that our caller, if he was purposefully misguiding, that it was it was purposeful, that he was like, you know what? I'm going to clean up the wave that me and bros want to surf by calling it the crappy. This is the old Iceland Greenland trick, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you name the good place Iceland. You name the not bad place, but the place with very little other than ice. You name that one Greenland. So I wonder if this was this play here.
Yeah, might have been.
Hope.
Same reason we should encourage beginners to ride shortboards.
Exactly. Theme.
Similar but different.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a doppelganger call, actually.
Great.
And I know. So here's the deal. You know how we're apprehensive to perpetuate misinformation or,
Are we?
Not just misinformation. Look, this call is about something I don't want my name attached to, but I'm going to perpetuate it anyways.
Okay.
I'm going to play it because it's funny, and I'm going to point the finger of blame at the caller. I'm not making this accusation. The caller's making this accusation, but it is worth noting because these two people look a lot alike. That's all I'm saying. Let me play the call.
Kia ora, James here from New Zealand. was watching the most recent episode of Stab in the Dark, and I was really blown away by something I'd never ever noticed before. John Pyzel is Jamie O'Brien's dad. Have a look at it. Look at photos of the two. Check out their mannerisms, the way they talk, their body language, everything. I don't know why we haven't realised it sooner.
Boom.
Okay, hold on.
Boom. He's not kidding.
I don't know. I'm not seeing it. No, I guess knowing
Really?
Pyzel and O'Brien, both, because Pyzel's a little dude, isn't he? Or am I
No.
being rude?
I mean, he's not tall. I would say like 5'10".
Really? I have
for
little
sure.
pocket Pyzel in my mind, but he's not.
No,
not a
no.
pocket buddy, but he's like 5'7", 5'8".
No. He's 5'10".
Well, and I guess height, whatever.
Their face. I mean, when I see Pyzel, I never thought about this either, but I watched Pyzel speak as well during that series after hearing this call, and I was like, oh my gosh, they do have a very similar facial structure.
Okay.
If you're not seeing it, I'm a little bit surprised.
I'm
but
gonna have to soak.
this is good because it gets them out of hot water.
I'm gonna have to soak in this one for a minute. It's like one of those. It's like Magic Eye, maybe. Remember those posters where you would stare at that until you basically went blind, and then you would see the hidden image. I'm gonna have to stare at Pyzel and Job until I go blind.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to it. I thought this was pretty amazing. I was shocked, actually, that nobody has thought of it before. And Pyzel, looks like you're off the hook.
Maybe.
Based on Chaz. Yeah, maybe.
My Magic Eye might turn on.
Okay. Well, we have another reference to JOB coming through on the listener line this week, so I'm going to let you answer.
Hey, for the grid, specifically Chaz, my question is Jamie O'Brien that much of a cocky asshole, or is that kind of a show he puts on? Because, I mean, he's an amazing surfer. Absolutely awesome. And, I watched the Who is J.O.B. movie back in the day. Great movie. Dubstep faded. Still cool in the movie. Nice work. I think you directed it or something. Pretty cool. And then you watch his YouTube series that's kind of evolved into his whole persona and all that stuff. But he comes off, like a cocky prick. And I remember Bruce Irons saying that in the movie with that evil laugh, which is awesome. So I'm just wondering if that's a show and he's pretty cool, or is it kind of half-half? Pretty curious.
Come to his defense or no?
Yeah, Jamie O'Brien is totally cocky, but Jamie O'Brien's cockiness is in person, having experienced or been around lots of it, is great because it doesn't denigrate others, right? He somehow can be super cocky himself without putting others down. I mean, he attracts people in his circle, like Poopies, and Poopies wasn't there when I was making film and hanging out with JOB back in those days. I can't remember the dude. Damien was amazing. But he has these amazing friends around him that play a really good foil to him, right? But he's always like King Cocky Jamie, but he's not ever being rude to his. I mean, I guess he was kind of rude to Poopies, but they all kind of go along with it, right?
Yeah,
but it's not. Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't find his cockiness ingratiating at all. It was.
Okay.
It was a pleasant sort of cockiness. It's what you want, right? I liked his stuff way better than faux humility.
The cockiness used to rub me way the wrong way than it does as I've gotten older. I mean, cockiness was a great offense to me when I was young because I found a lot of value in humility, and I still do find a lot of value in humility, but I guess the cockiness doesn't feel like a threat to me, maybe like it did when I was young.
I think the fake humility, we've gotten so ladled on over I feel that's become, past couple decades, more and more and more and more people who internally think they are amazing. And maybe I just noticed it more as I grew. People who think they're amazing, but really put on the humble thing, but also just, screw people all around them. Jamie never, ever, ever had that. Jamie was what you see is what you got and so I would encourage listener, to embrace Jamie's cockiness, to enjoy it. It's like it's salt in an otherwise bland dish.
It has absolutely served him well in the media era that he's living in. And that's, I think, a large reason that he's been able to build the media empire that he's built, is you can't do it without being brash and, I don't know what, unforgiving in terms of your takes and what you're into. But there's something to me super duper refreshing still to this day when you have somebody who is at the absolute top of their game, who, like John John, actually, I think is a great example of this in surfing, where they will always defer.
Yeah.
Even when getting ladled with compliments, they defer. And then they go out and their surfing speaks for itself. They come in and they go, oh no, it's the board that I'm riding. The board got me there, or whatever. There's something so refreshing about that in today's era.
I mean, both yes and no. I think John John genuinely doesn't want to be in this, or seems like he doesn't want to be in the spotlight. And so it's refreshing coming from him. But the fake kind of, it wasn't me, even when they thought it was them, that grates.
Yeah. I guess moral of the story is be authentic to yourself.
Yeah. And also, part of why Jamie acts like that is because he doesn't actually care what people think, which is amazing, right? Like Jamie O'Brien knows that, when he made Freakside and Psycho Freak and all those, that people were like, why are you making your own movies? Why are you thinking you're so cool to do this? All of this stuff. He's like, because it's what I'm doing. He never let surfing's, the surfing common sense infect him or influence him.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if our caller, or anybody else for that matter, if that your answer to that question affects their liking of Jamie one way or the other. Like if they thought, oh, it's just a persona that he's putting on to get views or whatever, that I'll go along with it. And then they find out, no, he's actually cocky. Do they stop watching at that point? I don't think they do.
I mean, no, I think you like him more, right? If somebody
Maybe
is,
so.
Unless I know they're an actor who are, like Pee Wee Herman. I didn't expect Paul Rubens to actually be Pee Wee Herman in real life, right? But yeah, a guy like Jamie, I personally would hope, that he doesn't turn it off and go home and be like all eating his humble pie and being quiet and demure.
I wonder if he's evolved, though. I mean,
For
people
sure.
do evolve, and so he's more cocky in his 20s, but I don't watch his stuff closely enough. I never did, even back then, to understand how he's developed as a human being, but you would think that he would change.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch his YouTube either, but every time I run into Jamie, it's great. Like he's grown up. He's a businessman now, right? Like he has made an empire out of being Jamie O'Brien and doing Jamie O'Brien stuff, not just in the, jackassy YouTube kind of stuff, but his surf schools, all this, like he is probably one of the most successful individuals in the surf industry who's, and he's not just getting paid from a brand. Like,
no, self-made for sure.
Yeah.
Did you see the Pee Wee Herman documentary on HBO?
No, I'd still need to. I will.
I still need to. I watched there's two parts, and I watched the first half of the first part when it first came out. So that was now a year ago, probably. And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like it just somehow got buried and I never finished it, but it was so fascinating. His interplay with the director, like so much of it was about, how much of Pee Wee is you kind of, or how much, was conscientious or whatever. And he's still playing a certain role with the director. Like, I think the director didn't even want him to even look off camera and address the director personally, but he would, it was just a very, very fascinating, telling or style of documentary.
I mean, the back to the point, I guess, of Jamie O'Brien, like also, is he playing a character? Is he not? Is Paul Rubens playing a character when he's Pee Wee? Is he not? At some point, your character and yourself are so interwoven that it's impossible to piece out, right? People ask me a lot, are you Chaz Smith or are you Charlie? Chaz is a jerk and da-da-da-da, or Charlie's a nice guy, right? And I'm like, at this point, it's just who I am. I'm both of them.
Yeah, good point. Well, speeding along, this was an email, Riding the Wave of Legacy. Actually, let me scroll down. I think this is the aforementioned James in San Diego. What's up, David and Chaz? I've got another Wild West story at Black's for you both that'll end with a barrel or nah. I pulled up to Black's and frantically throw on my wetsuit, wax my board, stow away my car key, and start jogging towards the Black's trailhead. As I got to the trailhead, I saw none other than Joel Tudor at the surf check spot, bestowing some wisdom on some young lads. I sheepishly hid my face as I jogged past with a 6-0 pointy thruster. I should have known that seeing the black belt jiu-jitsu and sensei of surf fight was a premonition of the events to unfold during my session today. It was a classic head-high day, pretty lolly, and not a puff of wind. Therefore, it was packed to the gills with groms and surfers all battling for the elusive tube that would show up every 30 minutes. I found my zone, a peak away from the main pack, and I was able to snag a few visions. However, as I sat there amongst the masses, we all heard some yelling and splashing 50 yards down the beach. F you guys, you blocked me, and then your effing friend burned me? Who do you think you are? A young boy, he's probably 18 to 20, but I'm calling him a boy for his childish behavior, is screaming at two older guys, probably 40 to 50. The older guys are talking back, which only makes the boy yell even louder. Quote, F you guys, I've never seen you in my life. His posse of boys begin to gather around the two older guys and start chiming in, on the rousting. It felt like a weird Twilight Zone moment seeing a group of boys yelling at their elders. You would have gotten cracks if that happened when I grew up surfing. The screaming boy then jumps off his board and dunks one of the older guys. All eyes are on the altercation now, and I use this opportunity to snag a set wave that rolls through. I get a sick one, and then I paddle back out to see what I missed. The older guys are yelling, chill out, dude, over and over. And the boy then proceeds to whack his board against the older guy's board, trying to ding them. I also overheard someone say, this is all over waist-high waves, by the way. The boy then yells, I do MMA, bro. Let's take this to the beach so I can kick your ass. The older guy yells, relax, dude. The boy retorts, do you even know who my dad is? A whole pack of guys around me starts to chuckle, and we all share a smile at the boy further cementing his immaturity. The boy, his posse, and the two older guys end up taking it to the beach, and a good third of the lineup vanishes just like that. And we get a sick window of 20 minutes with minimal hassle and a pulse of waves. I beg for them to keep fighting so that I can relish in this rare moment of relatively uncrowded perfection. I see the boy push one of the older dudes over, and some other people intervene and break up the fight. The boys yell their final frustrations, and just like that, the empty window is over. The posse of boys all yell in celebration for ousting the older surfers that had wronged them. The old guys leave, and some guy makes a joke that, quote, his dad must have been some heavy. And we all share a laugh with the kids when they come back to the lineup. Just another day in the Wild West of Blacks. Therefore, my barrel or nah to both of you is, quote, riding the coattails of your parents' legacy. Although this boy might have won the battle, he's losing the war of self-identity. All eyes on you, Brit. JK, I love Channel Islands, and I'm rooting for Kelly to choose you and stab in the dark. Cheers, James in San Diego.
Okay, though, Rook that wasn't a Tudor child.
I was waiting for that too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He never said that.
Okay,
no.
so let's assume it wasn't. It was just Joel Tudor only got roped in because a surf fight happened.
Knowing James in San Diego's writing, I think he would absolutely have made it clear if it ended up being one of Tudor's kids.
Okay, so you don't know who my dad is absolute, definitely is it a no barrel? If you
absolute no barrel, that is the most embarrassing thing you can say in a fight.
I mean, definitely saying it in a fight. You don't know who my dad is. Dumb. I'm just saying, like the broader concept of not being a nepo baby per se, but like, Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen style, right? Like, did you this is a classic one, I think. This is the edge right here, where you have Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen, Martin Sheen. Which one of them, did Charlie or Emilio do the right thing?
In terms of in their life decisions, or just taking the name?
Not in terms of life decisions. In terms, one of them said, I want to be known on my own merit.
Charlie did the right thing.
By being Charlie Sheen.
Oh, right.
See, like one of them was like, I'm going to make my own way here, even though you're really not making your way. Everybody knows in Hollywood that Emilio Estevez is Charlie Sheen's boy.
Right.
But so does that look stupider? Or not stupider, worse than Charlie Sheen being like, yep, Dad's Martin Sheen.
I'm struggling to answer because I'm not strong in my conviction, but I feel like I align with Emilio Estevez more. Make your own path.
Okay, so but I mean, definitely when it comes to a fight, you don't know who my dad is the worst thing you could say. Embarrassing.
It's so, I may have said it when I was a kid. Like, it's what you say when you're a kid and you don't want to fight, but you think that you think your dad's never going to show up and fight anyway. So I don't even know what you're thinking. It's just that you don't want to fight, basically.
Yeah.
And you're trying to say something to intimidate the guy, your opponent, to back out before you back out because you don't want to back out.
Okay, if you had been in the Blacks lineup this day and you had witnessed this whole business, what would you have? Do you ever find yourself like, I should intervene? I should go in there and try to calm this situation down?
Thankfully, I have not been in that situation in a very long time. I don't want, like I think I'd feel more of an responsibility to intervene now at this age than I have in the past, because I surfed Huntington Beach for 20 plus years, and I did see this happen regularly, 2 times a year, let's say, where they would get in an argument in the water. I'd see arguments in the water 7 times a year, but twice a year where they actually take it to the beach. Sometimes they get in a fight, sometimes they don't. I never intervened in that once. And it was always because it was a pretty equivalent fight. There wasn't some, smaller person being picked on by a bigger person. And I don't know their ability levels. Maybe one person is a black belt and the other's not. I don't know that. I just never felt the need to intervene. But I also don't feel competent enough to actually break up the fight, because I'm not a fighter or a trained fighter.
But even like as they're yelling in the water, right? Would you not have paddled over and said, hey guys, it's all good. Let's everybody like take it down a notch?
I kind of align with James in San Diego, which is
get yours.
Good. Everybody's distracted. Time for me to get some waves. Keep fighting.
I dropped the kid off at ballet the other day and went to the store, and there was a older Asian woman and a younger Hispanic woman in a big old fight, and the younger woman was beating, I think, or hitting or started to hit the Asian woman with a orange parking cone, because I don't know what it was like. But I didn't intervene, and then I felt real bad after. I was like, I should have gone over there. And I didn't know who was in the right or who was in the wrong, or I didn't catch the start of the beef. But afterwards, I thought I really should have gone over there and just said, hey, calm down, everybody.
I have intervened. Now that you say this, it might have been your ethnic references that were jogged my memory, because this was also similar ethnicity. We were dining. We went to lunch one time at this place, and there was some shops near the restaurant, and I think a homeless person was trying to may have been harassing a store owner, but I didn't see the harassment. When I walked up, the store owner had taken the homeless person's shopping cart and tipped it over, and the homeless person fell with the shopping cart, and the homeless person was elderly.
Yeah.
So I walk up oblivious, and all I see is an elderly homeless person being thrown to the ground. Yes. And their shopping cart hit, and their most precious possessions in the world hit the ground and spilled out. I felt awful and immediately snapped into action and shamed the store owner. I was like, what are you doing? And helped the person up, picked up their possessions, put them back in the shopping cart. And then they defended themselves. They're like, no, this person was creating problems, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it doesn't matter. Look at them, there's probably mental illness involved and all this other thing. It left such a sour taste in my mouth. had a horrible lunch because of it. So I think instinct will take over, and I will get involved if I see somebody being wronged. But I've never intervened in the surf lineup anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but let's be honest. It's kind of funny. It's kind of entertaining. But like when you were a kid in school and you saw a fight, would you be like, sick fight, and join the crowd, or would it turn your stomach?
It always turned my stomach.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I'm just have a weak constitution. Always turned my stomach too. I hated that kind of thing, but I, obviously didn't intervene ever. I probably did maybe once, but yeah, generally not. But yeah, it makes me think, man, world would be a better place if more people intervened in general, right? James got his way. Good job, selfish James. An old man got very embarrassed, probably.
I don't know. Like, that's the hard part I had reading this story is what was the old guy's take? Because one way to read it is they were scared and embarrassed. And so they tucked their tail between their legs, even apparently got knocked down on the beach somehow, and left with the tail between their legs. The other version of this is not scared at all, completely knows their competency and would crush this kid. But it's a kid, and there's legal ramifications as well. You're going to get sued at this point. You got a lot to lose when you're an old man, or 40s and 50s, not an old man. And so there could have just been complete, like, reasonable negotiation being made by the older person in this scenario. Because to be perfectly honest, that kid sounded like he was too big for his britches, actually.
With a big dad.
It doesn't sound like yeah, exactly. He's pointing at his dad. He's saying, I do MMA. Guess what? If you are a high level MMA person, you don't shout that before you fight somebody.
True.
You maintain your composure and then you choke them out, So this kid sounds like he was just going nuts, and it'd be like the equivalent, since I'm not a fighter, would be a toddler picking a fight with me. I don't need to shame them or beat them up or tell them anything that they're doing wrong. It's just you remove yourself from the situation because this toddler's having a hissy fit.
What if the toddler pushed you down, though? What if the toddler came over and just shoved you right to the ground? Wouldn't you? I mean, even if you think, there's nothing I could do here, there's a toddler, you would be so deeply shamed for the rest of your life that it would be hard to keep on going.
What if one toddler got behind you and created got on all fours kind of a thing, and then the other toddler pushed your kneecap and you went back over? I mean, I would leave at that point. I still wouldn't hurt him, but I would leave at that point.
Yeah, but just you would be like, how would you build back your own sense of self? It would be, I got shoved. I mean, I guess you could make it funny. You just have to look it right in the eye and say, I got shoved to the ground by a toddler. It is what it is.
Yeah. This sounds like a made-up story, but I remember there was this fight club that happened in elementary school. And I don't know who started it. I bore witness to it. I never participated in it. But it was like there was one tough guy, maybe fifth grader. And somebody came up with the concept of like, let's get 20 third graders to fight one fifth grader. And then like at recess on a foggy day, like it was like mapped out for a week or two in advance. Everybody was consenting children. And like we went far out into the field, like brought a soccer ball, like, see you later, teachers, we're going to go play soccer. Went out to the far reaches of the field, and it was like, ding, ding, game on. And it was just the fifth grader like swinging wildly, and every third grader like going in, trying to take a leg, three guys on one leg together, try to pull him down. I don't even remember who won the fight, but I remember witnessing it.
That's a fight that I would totally back when it's not from ire. It's straight from pure, let's see which wins. That's a fun game to play.
I'm going to blame the teachers because I think there was like an experiment in class where they were like, who do you think would win?
Yeah.
A gorilla or an alligator? And we're like,
man,
you know what?
Young Austin's a little too young for those books now, but those things are a massive, get ready, or maybe the trend will die by then. But have you seen those books?
No.
There's a whole series of books of, who wins, a T-Rex or a great white shark or whatever, right? And it's all, a Black Widow or a tarantula, whatever. That's all our, but they'll just go through like the different dynamics of each animal at the end. The tarantula beats the black widow. Kids,
interesting.
boys
Okay,
love
no,
those
we have
things.
not seen that.
Yeah.
Well, fighting will come up again later in the show in Barrel or Nah, so look forward to that. But first, we have a Don't Say Gay that involves you, Chaz Smith. You're going to have to defend yourself here.
Great.
All right, DLS and Chaz, Ryan, Pensacola Beach again. Just called you, just got off the listener line, and I put the show back on. I made it maybe 15 seconds before Chaz prompted me to call again. I think with a potential Don't Say Gay, because as soon as you transitioned to the John John story, Chaz said he can't get it up for the anger. So I don't know if there's a Don't Say Gay in there, he can't get it up, or if Chaz, I don't know what you were saying, man, but there's a Don't Say Gay from me for the week. Chaz cannot get it up. And honestly, at Chaz's advanced stage, maybe it's something to be looked into. All right, work.
Funny, when you said that last week, you started out, I pitched the story and you started out with, I can't even get it up for this. Well, and you went on, it did catch me off guard a little bit. Yeah. And 1 or 2 DMs came in about it too. And then this came in. So people are concerned.
Indefensible. It is I don't know why I said it. It's not something, it probably is something I use fairly regularly. I don't even think sexually when I say it. I think, I can't get up the emotion. I can't get up the care, whatever, right? But clearly it's only a sexual reference. And this one is like the peak cancellation for Don't Say Gay, or this hits all the criteria for cancellation. There's other things to say. It is a sexual reference that should not be impotence, should not be considered, top of mind or brought into conversation. And yeah, I am sorry. I am sorry. I apologize to every listener.
So we're canceling it. You can't say it anymore.
Yeah, no, done. I'm happy to lose it, to be quite honest.
Happy to lose it. I agree. I never use it. I don't use that phrase. I've heard the phrase used, obviously. I'm not a fan of it. It always rubs me a little bit gross. Yeah. It's just gross is all it is. And I agree with you as a general statement, that phrase or others, impotence should not be brought up into casual conversation.
No, it shouldn't be referenced. There's better ways to say the thing you're trying to say than to use impotence as your vehicle.
We are in agreement. 2 mid-40-year-old males in agreement on this one. All right. Well, with that, let's take a quick commercial break and be back with Barrel or Nah. All right, Chaz, welcome back.
I like that the barrels or nahs have been littered throughout this show today, or at least one has.
Yeah, and I got more coming at you.
Great.
I got our usual 3 coming your way. But first, I got an email. I got a few emails about this. The opening call last week referenced that this show used to be more mean-spirited in the past. Did you get any commentary about it?
I didn't.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll read this email because I liked it. And then I will also say somebody else, a close friend whose opinion I respect and trust, said, you know what? Maybe to a certain degree, but I think what's happening to a greater degree is that the internet has gotten way meaner. And it's almost like you guys have maintained a certain position. Yeah. And like you guys were early adopters. And now the internet's so vile that it's like you guys look
clean,
clean compared to us. So I think that's kind of an interesting take too.
It.
But this one levels the blame directly at somebody else. DLS and Chaz, I had to chime in via email instead of my usual annoying DMs, both DMing both of you all the time on this one. This is important. I just listened to the January 30th grit and the caller claiming that you guys are kinder now. I don't really recall exact description that they used. And I too have had thoughts about this, and I have my own explanation for the past few months now. You guys already mentioned it, but I want to expand on it. Sure, the grit has, quote, changed and become nicer overall. For everything that has been good or bad about this, not for me to judge, it is all squarely the result of one individual, Mr. Erik Logan. ELO is the absolute epitome of the American experience. Like certain other figures in the US currently, whether one supports them or not, ELO's time occupying the WSL clearly and easily brought out the very worst in all of us in regards to our love of not only the WSL CT Tour, but everything that is and was surf culture. Logan has us infuriated for his entire tenure. Only the very strongest of humans with a sound mental health and complete awareness and control of every emotion and consequence could have gone through the ELO era of surfing showing no effect. I am surely not one of those strong humans. And by recollection of the Beach Crit comment section during the CT events in the ELO era, I was not alone. I think at times you guys were part of that on the podcast. No way whatsoever is that a criticism of you guys or any other clowns like myself in those comment marathons. I was laughing my ass off listening to the grit and the attacks on the ELO era. We are all flawed humans. What invades our space and then angers us, hurts us, baffles us, will at times have us not at our best. In the bigger picture, in the US, how many of us can truly claim we are all at our best these days, every minute of the day, no matter the side we take in the current polarized chapter of the, quote, American experience. Getting back to our silly surf world, though, and all it entails, a world I hold dearly for sanity and breaks from everything else in life, the ELO era was absolutely the darkest time arguably ever in surf culture, at least in my 51 years of existence. Can we as humans truly not react to this? I surely did. And often so did you guys in that era. Did any of us in our silly little surf world get through those times completely flawlessly? So now there is definitely a notion that you guys are, quote, nicer. Why? Because ELO is gone. It is truly that simple. Not all this is perfect, of course, in the surf world, as private equity has made an absolute joke of the bong, the Volcom stone, etc. It is as sickening as the ELO era was, but there is no one face or personality like there was with the Oklahoman dweeb from Oprah. Someone correct me if I'm wrong and let me know who that individual is nowadays. I hope this settles it. The grit went through a period of, quote, not being kind for a stretch, and now the grit is kind. All of this with solid reason. It had to be that way, and it may revert back in the near future. The WSL may not be as pathetic as it once was, but trouble throughout surfing likely awaits. As soon as it is once again humanly bearable and warm enough to wear a short sleeve t-shirt in New Jersey, I'll wear my threadbare Visla / Beach Grit backwards Beth t-shirt for sure. Likely it'll be late March. Hope this makes sense to you guys. The work has been amazing. Thanks always for what you both do. Keith at the Jersey Shore.
Keith, thank you so much. And it's funny, I suppose, that it's just us as individuals, unique, snowflakes, each and every one. I look back at the ELO era as the high watermark of, I don't know. It was so, like, I knew in the moment we were never going to get a clown that perfect again. We were never going to have another ELO. And so I sucked the marrow from that ELO era. Loved every second. Loved the pylon. Loved the fact that he seemed like he couldn't get his feelings hurt either, which made it even more frustrating. But then that frustration felt funnier and better. Like the whole thing, I knew it was peak era. It was, so for me, Keith, that was peak surf culture era, just because united enemy, I suppose. And it was a perfect enemy. The supper with the magic wetsuit, with all of it, is just perfection.
Yeah, I think that you might feel that way because you are creating content, and so it gives you just endless opportunity. It's fertile joking grounds. I think the other part that the analogy I understood is an analogy about the American experience, but the thing with the American experience is it's fractured, the populace into being like oppositions, Whereas the Elo era, it united everybody against one person. There was nobody who was on Elo's side being like, no, this guy's a genius. He's got great vision. We want to do what he's doing. It was, if anything, your stance does make sense because there was unity in the culture.
It was so funny. And it was, again, you could not have created Elo. He was better than any fiction possible.
Yeah, I didn't feel exactly the same way as you do. I did appreciate having the fodder, but I also felt like it was damaging the culture in a way that would be irreparable for a long period of time. Like I felt, and I even said this back in the day, like he's driving the car off into a ditch. It's going to catch fire. Basically, the WSL is going to be broke and bankrupt, and they're just going to toss the keys back to the surfers and be like, all right, sorry, we're not paying for anything anymore. We're out of here. We're going to take a job with Amazon, and good luck with your tour, you know. And then there's nobody. Once you ruin it that bad, there's nobody that's going to step up and rebuild it, or there's fewer buyers, basically. So that was my concern, and thankfully we haven't met that end yet. He got vanquished due to his own, who knows what, but due to his own behavior. We still don't know what. So. Whatever.
You, Elo.
Interesting times. Okay. Thanks, Keith. Love it. Barrel or nah? Touching. DLS. Last week I picked up my mint. Christensen from Carlsbad. Tested it out tent camping at Santa Leo in Cardiff last week. Great swelling conditions, by the way. Ever since, I returned back to the Central Coast, and folks in the neighborhood asked to touch and feel it. So barrel or not, having random people touch your expensive, highly tuned surf craft. Onward, JJ.
Thank you, JJ. No barrel. No barrel. The only place for touching a board that's not yet your own is in a surf shop if you're looking. You don't go, I mean, I'll make room for, you walk into Buddy's house and he has all his boards stacked up. Like if I was in David Lee's room right now, for those who are only listening and cannot see, there is 6 surfboards maybe behind, and if one caught my eye, I might walk up, take it out of the rack, and give it a look over, right? But what I'm hearing JJ say is that people are touching it when he's like in the parking lot and stuff.
When it's on the sawhorse?
Yeah, when they're taking it off the sawhorse and giving it a little rub. No, that is... Do not touch other people's things.
I'm going barrel on this because I think also this is happening to him because you probably don't see a lot of Christensens in the Central Coast, I would say.
I will say Christensens are a cool looking board.
They're cool looking boards. You don't see a lot of them. You've heard a lot about them. You see that one. You want to pick it up. You want to feel it. What if you saw a Ryan Birch in the wild?
I wouldn't touch it.
A Skip Fry in the wild. You never see those.
That's true, but I still want to touch it. I'd study it up with my eyeballs. I would touch with my eyes.
Yeah. Here's the other problem is, what is touching going to do? It's not harming it in any way. I'm saying touch is a harmless crime when it comes to surfboards. The surfboard has no feelings. And so I'm saying, do your brother a solid. He's heard about Christensen. He wants to fondle it. Let him go. I'm
going to say surfboards, as we've already learned, are sexual beings. They're things that can get cuddled in bed, etc., etc. That's how I think about my surfboard. I don't want somebody touching my surfboard.
Glad to know. I'll make sure next time I see your quiver, hands off. Well, we will remain divided on this. I'm going barrel on touching other people's surfboards, and JJ, loosen up a little bit, buddy.
JJ, protect.
I think it's okay.
Protect that love.
All right. Barrel or not, number 2, coming at you. Super Bowl weekend is right ahead of us. Wearing a jersey to a Super Bowl party. Barrel or not?
Man, this is funny. I used to love a jersey, right? Like I would get Dodger jerseys. Was a Dodger fan back then. And I would, get a Lakers. I think I had a Shaquille O'Neal Lakers jersey. I didn't go overboard, but I had some jerseys. I can't imagine putting on a jersey at this point in my life. So I'm going to say, I don't like to bifurcate these barrels or nahs. I want them to be barrel or nah, right? But on this one, I'm going to throw an age gapper on it, which I'm going to say 25. Over 25, no barrel. Under 25, barrel. 25, 24, you're really pushing the line there. So think about it. But yeah, no barrel over 25.
absolutely no barrel for me. It's an obsession that is embarrassing. Like, the obsession with the team is already enough for me, but the obsession with a specific player to where you're going to wear another man's clothes, freaking bizarre.
Like, okay, so do you feel frustrated if somebody comes in with a 49ers, say, jersey? Or 49ers aren't in the Super Bowl, so let's make it applicable. A Seattle Seahawks jersey that's generic. It doesn't have a name, or maybe it has a number. Do you think, oh yeah, you're cool? Or do you think, why don't you go all the way, weirdo? You're being extra weird now.
I'm going to say, what are you trying to communicate here? Like, I know who you're voting. I know who you're rooting for. I can tell immediately who you're rooting for. In fact, you are going to tell me, and I'm going to hear you shouting the entire game. I don't need you wearing the colors. I don't need you cosplaying as a team player. Like, it is a bizarre behavior.
Here's the thing, though. But without it, the world would be less interesting. Like, I don't ever want to do that. But if I walk into a sports bar and it's packed with partisans of one team or another, I'm like, yeah, this is a fun scene to be in, right? And so I guess I'm going to swap and say barrel. Barrel for you, no barrel for me. Do it.
No, I'm going no barrel. No barrel on doing it. You're saying
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying barrel for everyone else out there, but not me. I don't want to do it because it feels weird to me, but I appreciate it. I'm going to say I'm totally flipping. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Colors the life up.
Look, if you need that type of color in your life, you need some other hobbies. Like, this is one step away from dressing up as a stormtrooper to go to a convention next weekend. You know what I mean? It's like, it's fantasy land.
Definitely, except for the fact that, aren't you happy that people do dress up as stormtroopers and go to a convention?
I know that those people, that is a refuge for them.
They're broken, is what you're saying.
I never look, man. Maybe I'm the crazy person, or maybe I'm just like, I don't know, not willing to play enough in my life. I'm too serious or something. But to me, I never want to get to the point to where that's what I need to feel a certain level of validation and connectedness to other people. I don't know. I cannot relate to it at all. And so the jersey thing is a lesser version of that, but it is a slippery slope.
I mean, I'll say the jersey version is that. The jersey version is just the acceptable form of that, right? It is socially acceptable to wear a jersey because both are cosplaying. Like, I mean, I guess in your jersey, it's not like you're putting on shoulder pads and a helmet and the football pants too. So it'd be like wearing a stormtrooper's like vest or something to a convention, right? You're not going all in, but you're definitely identifying as a stormtrooper. But I like all those. I like that these people exist. I almost wish I could be them. I wish I could put on a jersey and be like, "Go team, we're bros, we're family." Basically,
I'm too busy working and trying to get time to go surfing. But
cynical.
Ryan from Pensacola, I am cynical for sure.
Problem.
Ryan from Pensacola, who called earlier in the show to ask you about getting it up. The beginning of the call, you might have noticed he said, I just got off the listener line. I push play. 15 seconds later, you said this. Well, the thing that he said in the previous call, which not going to play for you, was basically he's cosplaying all the time being a surfer. He's like, Andy Irons, I tried to emulate myself after. Dane Reynolds, I'm emulating myself after. Certainly on the boards that I'm riding. Certainly when I go out in the water. And you open up my closet, it does not look like an adult male's closet. It looks like Andy Irons' closet and Dane Reynolds' closet. I'm still cosplaying these surfers. And he's like, I'm not even a good surfer. It's all a hoax, basically. And I'm like, man, this is coming off of me admitting last week that I was trying to be Mitchell Goosen when I was a young teenager, and how embarrassing the realization is we're all doing it to a certain degree throughout our lives. Probably.
Exactly, we are. And so let's just embrace. I'm embracing the jersey wear. I'm going to try to wear one myself.
Good luck. Are you going to get one between now and then, or do you have one?
No, I think I definitely don't have any. I don't think I have any jerseys anymore, unfortunately. Yeah.
Good. You grew up. You grew out of it. We're all, maybe I'm just cosplaying too, just much more kind of like obscure.
You're cosplaying Clint Eastwood in Get Off My Lawn.
Exactly. You know who's never cosplaying? Tom Curran.
Oh man, Tom Curran, stone cold original. But except for what if he's cosplaying Tom Curran?
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. If he's like, well, the people need to see some weirdness, I guess here I go. Time to go be Tom Curran out in the world again.
This is like what I was saying about Wes Anderson films now are just like a caricature of a Wes Anderson film from 3 years ago.
Except I started the Phoenician. I got to finish it. I started the Phoenician scheme and was loving it. It takes a while to get into just because it's so Wes Anderson-y. You get hit over the head with a Wes Anderson log, and so then you got to pull yourself up and be like, oh man, I just got Wes Anderson. But then if you get through that, this might be one of his best yet.
That's what I was talking about. It's just, they're still good. It's just, again, caricature of a Wes Anderson film from 5 years ago.
This Phoenician scheme might be the best though. So far, I'm loving it.
All right. So who are you rooting for in the Super Bowl? Do you have a team? Okay, cool. Because you're adjacency up in Oregon?
I've realized that I'm not a fan. I'm not a joiner of anything. I wish that I could be. I'm not. And so, but I do love watching or like watching sports. And so and you need a rooting interest, right? And so I'll always find I could basically make a rooting interest for almost any team, either for or against. And so, adjacency, Pac Northwest, Seahawks were the first team that I ever saw live football game. So went to that stadium, all that.
Cool. Well, Final Barrel or Nah references earlier conversations in the show and comes from a listener.
Hey, this is Steve calling from a snowy Wilmington, North Carolina with a possible barrel or nah for the grit. We've had a particularly brutal winter and the ocean's dipped down into the low 40s and I can barely surf in a 4-mil suit, so I'm not going to pretend I can in a 5. So I haven't been doing much surfing. Weekends are getting a little bit boring, and I have a buddy who has been doing MMA for like maybe 4 years, and he's obsessed with it. He loves it, and he's been trying to get me to come by the gym. So I finally took him up on it and went, and surprisingly had a lot of fun. I've gone several times, and, you know, not planning to ever fight in tournaments or anything to that degree, but just jumping around, learning some footwork, punching, kicking the bag, some self-defense tactics. And then I was thinking, you know, are these life skills that we probably all should have? Because I'm a pacifist, but if I get backed into a corner by some bad guys, as unlikely as that is, it'd be nice to know that I maybe have a chance of getting out of that situation. Or is this just completely dorky? So, barrel or nah, MMA training, and thanks, fellas, for getting me through many boring hours in the gym.
I know you have thoughts on this.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say it is absolutely dorky. It is so dorky. But to do that high leap over the dork fence, it is essential. It's a barrel. Like, everyone should be able to throw a punch. Everyone should know, everyone. I'm going to say every man and woman and beautiful trans should know how to throw a punch, should know how to take a punch, should have your basic fighting like repertoire at just the smallest base level. And not because you're going to go pick and fights. It's exactly, I mean, as you referenced before, it's so you can go actually break up a fight if you need to, right? Or so you can defend somebody else, or so that your first instinct when like potential physical trouble emerges is, uh-oh, I don't want to get hit, or uh-oh, I don't know how to punch, or something, right? Like, not for going and causing trouble, but for helping other people out. Barrel. And good to jump over the dork fence, because it is. Going as an adult man into a gym and learning fight moves is akin to putting on a Star Wars costume and going to a convention.
I don't do MMA, nor do I have any plans to, but I absolutely think that it is barrel. And I think that his point of like, there's life lessons to be learned through these types of things. I think one of the ultimate ones is confronting your fear. So it's probably an innate fear in everybody of confrontation. And if you can come to terms with that, confront it, and have some sense of confidence in yourself, being able to navigate any confrontation that presents itself, I think you're ahead of probably 70% of the people that you encounter. And I think that it'll also you'll start displaying less ego as a result. Like the idea of shouting, oh, my dad's going to come fight you, or do you know who my dad is, or any of that goes away, because you're self-secure in whatever you encounter. So the Asian lady and the Mexican woman would not be fighting in the parking lot with a cone. They would see the interaction coming, and they would just be like, you know what? You can have the parking spot, because I don't need the parking spot. I can walk an extra 10 feet. Like, I think it just erodes a lot of that once you get in the gym. First of all, get the aggression out, and then secondly, walk out with a confidence of being able to navigate things.
It makes me want to do it. The problem is, it's, again, the show has been a lot about slippery slopes. The slippery slope is you get too into it, and then you get hurt, and then you realize that you can't do the things you actually love now, like surfing, because you got hurt doing a thing that you got momentarily too into, right? Like, I mean, I have buddies who do jiu-jitsu here, or BJJ, right? And they got so into it, and then they were always getting hurt. They were like hurt almost all the time, where now you're hurt and you can't do BJJ, you can't do anything because so I think you get into it and you learn the stuff, but watch yourself that you don't get too into it.
Yeah. I also like the idea of being multidisciplinary. So the caller loves surfing. Now he can't surf. He's got nothing to do. You know what? Have 3 or 4 hobbies.
Which of the, we'll call them martial arts, even though I'm not referring to martial arts specifically, but which of them, somebody said, David Lee Scales, you've got to do this one today, or you got to go down a path. Would you just do MMA?
Yeah, MMA and or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would be the starter.
Krav Maga.
No, thanks. I think No. Boxing and kickboxing is interesting to me, and I like the idea of that. Wrestling, I think, has very, very a lot of applicability for a lot of other things. So, but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is probably the most universally applicable.
I go kickboxing, I think. Just purely to mix it up a bit. I don't want to roll around on the ground, and that's where I feel like joint injury stuff. Like, I can take a punch. I don't know that I can take a twist.
Start rolling around to find out. All right. Well, hey, great show today. Thank you, listeners, for your great many contributions. Keep them coming. Email me, hello@surfsplendorpodcast.com. I should probably read out the listener line number. It is 1-760-237-0150. You can also find all that information on surfsplendorpodcast.com. And importantly, come on over to Patreon if you want bonus shows.
If you're not full enough, some spice going to happen down there.
And you get the grit ad-free over there too. Like, we publish this over there without any commercials. So that's another bonus for $5 a month. It's a no-brainer. Or $10 if you want the video. All right, Chaz, I will see you on Extra Fine Grit, and then probably on Monday over on Noble Rot, I would guess, right? Let's do it.